Hi, good morning, and welcome to Trib Connected. I'm Chris Stegman, the Chief Revenue Officer of the Salt Lake Tribune and Trib Connect. I'm here with a friend from the past, a colleague from the past, Phil Koufidakis from Baker Brothers. Welcome, Phil.
Morning, Chris.
Thanks for joining us so early.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. Salt Lake City is beautiful.
Yeah, great. And you are in?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is your company, but more so what's going on over the last 15 years within your industry, because it's been a crazy ride for you. So
yeah, it's been a big change. I mean, I personally, I've been in the industry 35 or so years. The company's been around since 1945, and so things have changed significantly over those years. But at the end of the day, people just want beautiful floors, and that's what we do best.
Yeah. So I was trying to think back. I think I met you 2006 or 7 around that time
somewhere there,
frame.
yeah, maybe even earlier. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your business, Baker Brothers Flooring. First,
Right.
Tell everybody what Baker Brothers is. But I'm curious, that time period over the next 10 years within the Phoenix market, and maybe 15 years, about kind of the ride in Phoenix and just in general within the marketplace.
Yeah, it was interesting. I got to Phoenix in 2003, and things were kind of average, nothing great. And then all of a sudden, the market started getting hot and super hot. By 2005, 6, things were humming. I mean, I think housing starts were over 60,000. And obviously, our business is tied to housing starts and movement of housing. And, every time somebody buys a new house, somebody buys their house. And so the business was just blowing up in 2006 into 2007. And then, of course, we hit 2008 and 9, where we went from 60,000 home starts to 6,000 home starts. And so, obviously, that had a significant effect on business for everybody, but certainly in the home furnishings market. And so everything kind of got topped down. So you went from big size to right size and trying to get everything right. And those were difficult times. Mm-hmm. And really, it never really came back significantly. It took a long time. The recovery from then was pretty slow until really we started feeling it again probably in about, it was probably almost 10 years before it really started to get, kind of good again. And then, of course, last year we got hit with the pandemic, which was, a disaster. And we were able to keep the showrooms open, but in a short staff. But there wasn't much demand, let's call it what it is. And then we were talking a little bit earlier that, the pandemic in a weird way has had a positive effect on home furnishings and our business for sure, as people stayed home and nested and looked at their floors at home and go, honey, we need new floors and new couches and new paint. And so it's been an interesting ride. I mean, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, a real high spike up early, a very slow recovery, a real big drop. And now, it's a big move up again.
So I'm curious, you said something about 2009, and then obviously it took several years for the recession, and in Phoenix got hit worse than a lot of markets. What was the buyer, how different was the buyer coming back after the recession? Because you guys are in custom flooring. Mm-hmm. I've used you for one of my homes before.
Sure.
Remember what I paid for just a couple of rooms.
Right.
How was the shopper different in, when you have the Floor and Decors? I'm not sure when they came into market, but how was that fighting that new shopper in the market post-recession?
Yeah, so what happened was, a lot of that came in, but the biggest challenge was when we got after the 2008 and 9, what ended up happening was people were buying less flooring, and so they were doing 1 or 2 rooms instead of doing, we're just going to do the whole house, or we're going to do all 5 bedrooms, or we're going to do all the general living areas. And so originally, that's what everybody was doing. And then after that, they just started slowing down. So the average number of units just went down, even if you saw the same amount of customers. And so, and I think that took a long time for people because, listen, we were all hurt through that 2008-9. The value of our homes went down. There wasn't that equity that people were using to buy things. Your 401k was down, all of those things. So I think that's the biggest difference we saw there. You did see a pop-up. I mean, listen, you're always going to run into the Home Depots, the Floor and Decors, and people like that, but that's a very DIY. We're a very specialty company. So we are, while we sell a lot of material only for people who want to do it themselves, the crux of our business is let us do it for you. Professional installation, licensed, bonded, insured, high-quality products. I mean, I always tell people, and I'm not trying to be arrogant about it, but if you're looking for tasteless and cheap, we're probably not your guy, right? So high-quality products, high-quality installation, high-quality service. Listen, we don't always get it right, but you can't be around since 1945 and get it wrong a lot, right? So though all of that poses a challenge in the market, And then we had a lot of shifts, industry-wide shifts, where it became to the types of flooring that people purchased. And so if you go back to 2008, 9, 10, 11, even to 15, I would say that 65% of the business was carpet. And second to that was wood and tile, and then laminate kind of came in, went out. It's kind of a moving target. And then all of a sudden, in came these luxury vinyl floors that were waterproof and dog-proof and kid-proof and pet-proof. And that's actually taken a big chunk. So the market has shifted where carpet went from 65 to about 35% of the market. And this product, which didn't exist in 2015 roughly, is now 25% of the market. And so carpet's now made a comeback. Laminate is probably the one that's got hurt the most. But people are looking at, again, today we're back to doing whole homes. Like people aren't doing 2 bedrooms anymore. I'm not saying nobody, but there's a lot more whole home business. And the other thing we find is we're also part of a bigger project for people today. Whereas maybe they only did the floors before, they're now coming in and they're saying, listen, I'm redoing my entire kitchen and I need you to do the floors and the countertops for me. I've got a cabinet guy and I've got this but that's the biggest change today. That's probably the biggest cycle of product change and of quantity change is that the average units have just gone significantly higher than they were.
So let's shift a little bit. So I guess it was 2003 I met you then, so my memory's bad.
Yeah.
So back then I remember me, I think it was off Broadway. Massive showroom you had there.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how consumers have shifted, both in how you reach consumers, but how they shop you different now. Because that's obviously it's totally different now than what it once was.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think where people get their information has changed.
Yeah.
So obviously the internet has changed everything for everybody. I think the one thing that really keeps us, we still have very big showrooms. Our average showrooms are 8,000 to 10,000 square feet, and it's all samples, all products. And so the thing that kind of helps us is we're a tactile business, right? You want to feel it, you want to touch it, you got to see the color. I don't care how great your monitor is at home. And my picture on my website, by the way, www.bakerbrothers.com.
No problem.
I don't care how
we love a
little cheap plug.
Shameless plug.
There you go,
yes.
shameless plug. I like that even better.
Yeah.
I don't care how good that is. It's never going to look the same as it is when you come in and you feel it and you touch it. And we have, our showrooms are 5 times larger than the average. But certainly people have now taken advantage of, a little bit more of their ability to kind of shop at home, if you will, and do some of the legwork on the front end and say, I like this, I like dark, I like light. I mean, listen, one of the continuing growing traffic parts of our website is our virtual room designer. So we've got this room designer that has ability for you to take a picture of your room, upload it, and then use any one of our products from our catalog, and we probably have 4,000 products in the catalog, and put those into your room so you can see exactly what it's going to look like. So that kind of can give you a head start. You can do that because, sure, you come in and you look at a sample, and it's a 27-inch by 18-inch sample, and you think that's going to look great in your house. And some people are fantastic. They can do it in an instant. Others, not so much. And so this kind of takes some of that trepidation away.
And that's on your website you can go?
It is, yeah. We've actually had that for, probably 15 years or more. And it's one of these things that has, I never could understand why more people didn't use it. And I think what's just happened is you talk about the shift, how have people shifted? This is how people shift. They go, hey, now I want to use this. If you don't have it, I'm missing out. And so, we try to when we built that site, we tried to get really engaging with customers, give them a lot of information, give them a lot of tools to play with. I mean, we even have a tool in there where you can actually upload a picture of your pillow and then take a little, it's like a little wand, and you can click on the color of your pillow that you want to decorate around, and our catalog will then open up to all of the colors in our catalog that look like that color.
Wow.
Whether it's wood, laminate, carpet, it doesn't matter. So we've so there's a lot of that stuff, a lot of those tools today that people are using that even though they existed before, they didn't use them.
So I'm just curious, through the pandemic, have you seen a spike in people using that? Because I would think having a showroom within your home, able to do that would be a big advantage.
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
We track that every day and every week and every month, and we see that. And I will tell you personally, it was frustrating in the early years, going back 15 years ago. I'm like, man, we got this great tool and nobody uses it. And now, when I look at the numbers, I go, yeah, that's pretty cool. People are using it, and so we see that a lot. So we do see a lot of interaction more on the site today with customers that come into the showroom. I mean, the ultimate was that somebody finds
Sure.
this amazing floor, brings in the picture, and says, "This is what I
Yeah.
want." And shortcuts the system for them, and shortcuts it for us. So, but they can feel. They still want to come in and feel it and touch it. And the other thing that really separates us out is our staff. Our design consultants are. We really spend a lot of time educating, teaching them. A lot of them have been with us for 15, 20, 25 years, and so they really understand the flooring business. They understand where all the mistakes are, the traps are, and they can tell you which is the best direction to go. And are you looking for something that's more utilitarian? Are you looking for fashion? Are you looking for a little bit of both? So they can really guide. Where the pictures online are great,
Sure.
and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it, but you may be picking the wrong product.
Yeah.
For the utilization that you have,
Right color, wrong product.
Yeah, as I was saying, you walk in and like every carpet has the same warranty, but I will tell you that you can put any of them in your master bedroom. But if you have a family room, there are going to be some you're going to go, hey, while it says it will, it's not going to quite perform. So that's the difference. That's the way we can take really what's like I said, an 8,000 square foot showroom, and we can start tightening it down for somebody because it can be overwhelming. I get it. I mean, it's not something we're not milk or pizza. It's not something we shop for on a regular basis or buy on a regular basis. I mean, so I can see it in the eyes of customers sometimes when they walk into this big showroom. They go, "Oh my God, where do I start?" And that's where we come in, right?
Yeah.
We're here to help.
So I'm just curious with the shopper changing and obviously, a shift in how people are shopping. How's your marketing changed? I mean, I remember 2003. Over that 10-year period, I mean, there was a day you were in the newspaper almost every single day.
Yeah, that was thanks to you, quite frankly. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, we were a newspaper advertising-driven company,
Sure.
and we were there for many, many, many years, even up until really the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And a lot of that just became legacy for us. Listen, I like the newspaper. I'm of that age where I read the newspaper, read the newspaper. Newspaper has great demographics, and the people who still read the newspaper, like my kids don't read the newspaper. The 30-somethings don't read the newspaper. I mean, when I asked them, well, how do you get the news? They said the news comes to me.
Social media.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And so that's changed it a lot. So we are now, like we were talking about earlier today, we basically have moved all of our advertising, if you will, to digital. We feel like that's where customers are looking for us. And we really, listen, we don't sell it online. We're not high pressure. We just trying to make sure it's amazing, having been in the Valley for more than 75 years now, that there's still people who don't know who we are.
Sure.
And so we're just trying to give people an idea of who we are, which is same thing with our website. We want to give you, here's the services, here's the things we can do, here's the questions we can answer.
Yeah.
But it has definitely shifted from what was, let's say, 100% newspaper to 100% digital today.
So how are you telling your story online? And I only ask that because you have kind of a unique story to tell.
Yeah.
And to your point, not everybody knows who you are,
Yeah.
Baker Brothers. However, you're also competing against a lot of low-price guys.
Yeah.
You're definitely not the lowest price in the category.
Yeah.
However, everything you talked about, whether it's the consultants when you come in, just to the quality of product, how do you tell that online? Because obviously, once they go in the store, you can tell the story in your own way.
No question.
But how do you hook them to come in or engage with the content online as far as looking at a room and then decorating it based on the interactive tool?
I think that's probably the toughest part because it really has to be visual and it can't be verbal, right? So, nobody's going to look. I don't know about you, but I don't read like online. I don't spend an hour on the website. Like I'm clicking through, I want to see what's available. And so all of those things. The other thing is it's really important that like the website itself visually looks like what the showrooms look like. Like the worst thing you can do is have this amazing website and then somebody walks in and your showroom's like, you're not interested, or the converse, right? You got to really, if you have a lousy website visually,
Sure.
people probably aren't going to get to the showroom. So I think the visual of it, but as far as telling the story, we could always do a better job telling the story online. I think we have what we call our Baker's Dozen, which talks about 13 reasons why we do things the way we do things and why we're different than others. But I think that it is difficult to tell that story online for people who don't know it well. And but if you take enough time in your research through the site, you will find plenty of places that do that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think of Elf. Great movie.
Awesome.
World's best coffee.
Yeah, right.
And everybody says we're the highest quality.
Right.
And really, it's one thing to say it, but how do you articulate that,
Right.
and how do you show that? And one of the things we're seeing a lot more things like this.
Right.
Where video, whether it's demonstration, whether it's you being able to tell your story. Have you been able to incorporate that into some of your marketing yet?
Yeah, I think that we could again do a better job of connection with consumers.
Yeah.
I don't like for me. I'm not the guy who's going out when I was a kid growing up in New York. There was an electronics store called Crazy Eddie.
Sure.
And he would do these big giant commercials and all this stuff. And I have a lot of friends across the country. That's really not my thing per se. And so maybe it should be my thing more. But I think it is, listen, telling that story to the customer.
Yeah.
I think in the end, I think the whole vibe of the company tells a story. I think you're right, Chris. I think taking that customer on that journey from the start till they get to the showroom, I think that probably we could do a better job of, telling our story, getting our message out there, maybe making it more front and center, rather than having it's not buried, but rather than having it as a part of the site, have it a featured part of the site.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go home and make some changes to the website now. Thanks.
Yeah, we can help you with that. We've got another office next door. We can talk about that.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm curious, the industry, because, you've been able to weather it.
Yeah.
You said you kept your showrooms open.
Yeah.
It's been great for you.
Wasn't easy.
How about some of your other competitors, and what have you seen in home improvement in general with some of the other companies out there?
Yeah, I think if this sounds bad, but if you're in the home improvement business and you're not doing well now, you're not going to do well. So I think you've seen some people fall by the wayside through the pandemic, if you will. Listen, it was rough. I'm not going to kid you. I mean, we kept the showrooms open. We had to lay off our entire internal staff. And it got down to myself, my operations manager, and my CFO, and we basically were running the company. But, we were down to seeing 4 customers a day across all 7 showrooms.
Sure.
So, there wasn't work in the background to do, per se. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't easy. And so we just had to kind of weather through that and try to figure out. The hardest part of that, as I kept telling my team, is you just don't know you didn't know when it was going to end. Right? So if you said to me it's going to last 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, you could plan accordingly, but we didn't know. And then lo and behold, when things started getting better, all of a sudden, like I said, when we hit like September of last year, we went from seeing 4 people a day to seeing 64 people a day.
Wow.
And so it's a huge change to our business. And now it's a staffing problem. Now it's, having enough people to handle it and having enough installation teams and having all that. So it definitely changed everything. I think everybody in our industry, so we're a part of a group called the National Floor Covering Alliance, which is 46 members across the country, all different states, basically cover most of the country. And all of them are experiencing really good times right now. And many of them are in other businesses, furniture business, things like that. Really great. So, yeah.
And I know we talked about it earlier, based on the amount of people, based on their home, I know that we've done a lot of things at our house based on the 6 months that we moved in, and we were seeing everything a lot more up close than what we probably would have been had we been in the office. Are people buying business forward to some extent? And do you see a letdown? I think you mentioned 2022 will be good, but after that, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, listen, I'm a bullish.
And no crystal ball.
No, I'm not an economist. I'm a flooring guy. So,
and I'm going to ask you about crypto here. In a second,
okay,
too.
Perfect, good. Okay, I'll tell you what I know about that. Okay, that's over now.
All right,
you now heard what I know about that. You go. I'm really bullish on 21, the balance of it, and I'm bullish on 22 all the way through. I do think that there is a potential 5-year run for the economy for everybody beyond 22, that we could be really in a, I don't want to call it a bubble because bubbles burst. I think this is different than a bubble. I think there's a ramp up, and I think there's a lot of things that go into it that are, from a dynamic standpoint, are much more continual than they were in the past, where we had really what you call bubbles. And so housing prices have risen. Yes, that's great. But movement isn't as big as it was because labor is short.
Sure.
And so when you look at like new home builders, they're building, and they could build way more. They could sell way more, but they can't build way more.
Yeah.
And so lumber costs were up, everything, all of that stuff. And so that's kind of, as hot as the market is, it's actually kind of tempered it a little bit. And so I still think that people want to move and people want to grow. And millennials who are now moving into that next generation who, everybody said, oh, they don't want to own anything. They don't want to buy anything. Now they're like 30-somethings and they're like, yeah, we need a house and we need to move, right? And
they're buying cars, too.
Right, exactly. And so all of that has started to shift a little bit. So I think that we're mostly in a good place. Wages are rising. Obviously we're concerned about inflation and the cost of goods, but I think that mostly people have been good about saving their money. I think the pandemic has probably taught us all a lot about being a little bit more conservative with our money and the way we do things, because these things happen every so often. And so, my mother and father used to remind me to save for a rainy day, when you're 16, 17, you don't think it's ever going to rain.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the skies open up. I'm pretty bullish on what's coming up in front of us.
So how do you based on what you said, 21 you're bullish about, 22 you're bullish about, how do you prep for 23 and beyond with your business other than just conserve and continue to keep your eye on out front? What do you do as a business owner?
Listen, our strategy for us, Chris, is we want to have the best company, period. We don't want to rule the world. World domination is not in our playbook. I always say the same thing. I just want every time somebody touches somebody in our company to go, man, he was fantastic. Man, she was terrific. Man, that was great. What a great experience. And like I said, we mostly do it right. We don't always do it right. And in times like this, it gets even tougher to do it right. But that's really the goal. And so we feel like in the end, that's going to win out over massive stores, low prices. Listen, there's an old saying, and I'm going to screw it up because I'm too old to remember anything, but something about the effect of the joy of low price fades long after the quality is gone, that kind of thing. And so you get what you pay for in a lot of cases. So I think customers are coming to us looking for those solutions, and I think that we're in a pretty good pocket for ourselves. We're not big box by any stretch of the imagination. We're not a small mom and pop, if you will, either. But we happen to have some advantages to scale. We happen to carry great products and have incredible partners that we do business with who can continue to push that envelope as far as great products. So we're trying to stay on the cutting edge of that and trying to make sure that we're giving customers what they want.
So you've been in Phoenix for, you said 75 years. You've resisted to move outside of Phoenix.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of businesses in Phoenix that have expanded beyond.
Yeah.
Why have you never looked at Tucson or other markets? I know a lot of them have gone east even into Texas.
Yeah. So I think for us, one of the things that works well is we work what we call hub and spoke, right? So we have a central warehouse in central Phoenix, and all of our business comes in and out of there. Our showrooms are just showrooms. And so we can touch within really 30 miles or less, probably around 30 on the outside. We can touch any one of those showrooms. So all of our material comes in there, all of our installation teams from Lisa. If I were to go to Tucson, I'd have to operate it as a completely separate business. And I'd probably have to open 5 more showrooms along the way. And so, at some point, quantity, again, for me, quality will always out-trump quantity. That's just me personally, and since I'm running the ship, if you will, I think that's what you're going to see. You're not going to see. So might it look a little bit different as time goes on? Why we have more units in the Phoenix marketplace? Might the units be a little bit different? Yeah, for sure. I mean, we just moved one of our showrooms from Mesa. We moved it to a smaller showroom. What a phenomenal move! I'd be perfectly frank, I was afraid to move. We were in that location for 15 plus years.
Is that the one off Val Vista?
Correct.
Okay.
And so you get afraid to move. You're like, man, everybody knows where we are, and we moved, a little bit further east to a smaller footprint, which is probably a better footprint for us. And it's been a phenomenal move for us. And so I think that flooring is still local, right? People don't drive 40 miles to go buy flooring. So for the most part, most of our business comes within a 10-mile radius of the showroom.
Makes sense.
And so there's some markets, we probably will look to do something in the Southwest Valley with the growth out there that we've looked at. We've been looking at that for 20 years.
Yeah.
And thank God we didn't do it 15 years ago.
Started.
Correct, yeah. So we're a little conservative in that respect, and I'm okay with that.
Great.
I sleep good at night.
Great. So last couple of minutes,
okay.
I'm going to let you talk to your potential customers. I told you could cut some gifts out of this and use it on your website. So talk to your customers about why Baker Brothers.
Well, listen, it's much of what we were talking about before, Chris, which is we're committed to the customer. We're committed to quality products. We're committed to quality installation. This isn't a pick and pay, take it away business. We're also in your home, right? So we're in your space and we're sensitive to that. And it's super important that we are giving you guidance. One of the things that made our company survive for all these years, when I look down the list of customers, we've got 4 and 5 generations of people who have bought from us. We have customers who come and said, my mom and my grandmother said there's nowhere else to go. So there's comfort in that for customers. And as for me as a consumer, there's comfort in that too. Look, we're a blind purchase. No matter how much you know the internet, you walk in, you don't really know anything about flooring. You might be a little bit more educated than you used to be, but you want to go somewhere where you trust. And we are a big purchase, make no mistake. I think I've heard it in the past. Outside of your home and your car, flooring is the 3rd largest purchase you may ever make. And I can tell you this, if you're going to re-floor your entire home, it's gonna be up there. And so you want to spend your money in a place where you're comfortable. You want to make sure that somebody's giving you the right products for the right areas, and you want to make sure that they're going to stand behind those products. I mean, listen, we do service calls for customers. We had one the other day, 2008. We installed some carpet for a customer. First of all, their carpet has lasted for 13 years. Second of all, we're going out to do a stretch on that carpet. And so you control the process that way. And look, we want satisfied customers. We don't need everybody. I mean, listen, everybody's welcome to come shop at Baker Brothers. But we just need people who want to be satisfied when they're done.
Great. Thank you. So last thing, favorite color?
Favorite color, green.
Oh, I can do that.
Green, you can.
I can do that.
I love this. I think you having this cool disco ball in here. I said to you earlier, I said the only thing missing is Donna Summer music.
Yeah, no, we could.
So you guys roll
sing,
that
Mr.
in.
Quick?
No,
Okay, no Donna Summer.
I sing, but really horribly, so I would never do it publicly.
We can edit this podcast.
But I will tell you, in my car when I'm driving to work, I sound like Donna Summer.
Hey, Chris, can you edit and actually lip sync? Actually, put Donna Summer's voice behind his words as he's singing.
We might run into some copyright.
Yeah. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for being on
It's so
Show
awesome
Connected.
to see you again, and thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, bud.
Bye-bye.